Everybody, happy Sunday. Again, mistakes are free. Anyhow, happy Sunday, everybody. Um, yeah, I was just gonna say something about. Oh yeah, this guitar. Have you ever you got you guitar guys out there? Have you ever have a guitar where you just kind of look at it and it's out of tune? You tune it up and you just kind of the wind blows and it's out of tune. This is the guy. Sorry, this is the guy here. So if anything sounded out, it's his fault. It's Mr. V's fault, Mr. V. Um, anyhow, happy Sunday. Coffee somewhere here, yeah. I try and put it in the same spot. Um, Coffee Sunday, happy, heavy, early. It's not that early, but heavy early. Anyhow, that's my name this morning. Happy 77th birthday to Rudolf Schenker of the Scorpions. Or, sorry, Scorpions. There's no the. If you look at the albums and that. Scorpions. We are Scorpions. Remember those interviews back in the 80s when they I don't think they can still barely speak English. The reason that is because they always stayed in Germany. They never moved. I don't think they ever moved to the States like most of these people did. Most of the European musicians did, like Yngwie Malmsteen and all that kind of thing. But yeah, they always talked in their own circles. I mean, I think they have some Americans in the band now. I mean, it's only the three members. I was gonna say original members, but only two of them are original members: Rudolf Schenker, Klaus Meine, and Matthias Jabs. Matthias Jabs was came in the late 80s, but he has been. Those three guys were from the core, the peak of the popularity of the Scorpions, and they're still in the band. Francis Buchholz and Herman Rarebarrel are still active musicians, but they've had a falling out with the Scorpions, and so the bass player and drummer are kind of a revolving door for a while. But now they have Mickey D from Motorhead. Since Motorhead dissolved, Mickey D has been the drummer, and anyways, that's the Scorpions now. And I think they're still active out there doing something. 77 years old. Man, are our heroes getting old, eh? Wow. I was watching a documentary last night. On it's a great. Here again, not doing the proper research. I can't remember the name, but it's. I watched a documentary on David Grohl. It was a David Grohl documentary about bands in vans. How all bands started out in vans. A really good concept because, Dave goes out and buys back. Somehow he found the van that he used in the original Foo Fighters tours, and he bought it back. His red Dodge Ram van. I thought it was beautiful because I just remember the van days with me in the band. Riding around in vans and cube vans and doing all these things. Yeah. So, anyways, it's a documentary about that. But at one point, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's lots of great people in there. Steven Tyler's in it. Slash Duff. Watch this one. I'll find the title. Anyhow, watch the comments for the title sometime today or later this week. But yeah. So he's Flea. Okay, speaking of Sunday morning, Flea says at one point, it's like a fence came up over these bands that came out of the 80s, 90s, and those are the only ones that are still playing huge stadiums, and these bands are Guns N' Roses, AC/DC's, Def Leppard, Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's some '90s bands in there too, but that's it. And there's no other real blockbuster rock. Some people will beg to differ with me on that because maybe we're not up to date on new bands out there, but those are the bands that are still playing stadiums, like AC/DC and there's a couple that I just mentioned. It's interesting that kind of rings true. That those are the bands. Scorpions are one of those bands that are still out there playing, and it's funny because Scorpions started. He's 77 years old, Rudolf, for the original member. Scorpions started in 1965, if you can believe that. 65 is the original Scorpions lineups. I don't think they recorded till 1970, the Lonesome Crow album. If you guys hear the Lonesome Crow album, it's an interesting album. Klaus Meine cannot speak English at all. It's a lot of like aria kind of things. Michael Schenker is, I think, 16 years old on the album. Incredible stuff. And then they had a whole career in Germany and in Japan before they broke in the States. They broke in the States on the Animal Magnetism album, The Zoo. The song The Zoo. God, I haven't practiced this stuff, so I'm going to try playing this stuff. Something like that. It starts like that, and then... That's not it. There it is. That song with the talk box and everything, and then of course, then the Blackout album came out, which was No One Like You, and lots of huge U.S. Album AOR. Is that still a thing? AOR, album oriented rock stations played all those songs, all those songs like Blackout and No One Like You, Blackout, Can't Get Enough. Anyways, that was the another breakthrough album. So they started touring in the States, and then of course every band has that pinnacle album. Bon Jovi, it's New Jersey, Appetite for Destruction, or Use Your Illusion. The peak of the band, that album, and the peak of the band for the Scorpions was Love at First Sting, with as I try to remember riffs again. Wow, I got that one right. Okay, so that's what we know of the most people know of the Scorpions. They were an incredible touring band. The first listening to the Scorpions, the first taste is my friend. Most of my early listening comes from my friend Brad Smith, who we used to sit in his bedroom and just play albums. That's where I first heard Hendrix, where I first heard, well, not for the first heard Hendrix, but I first really listened to Hendrix on albums, because we heard Hendrix on AOR radio all the time. But that's when I first heard Little Wing on Live in the West. I can't remember what it's called. Live, one of the live albums. Again, no research in these things. And then Scorpions had a live album called Tokyo Tapes. And this album is incredible. If you put this album on, you won't hear any of the songs I just attempted to play, like The Zoo and that. It's all earlier stuff from albums called In Trance, and and those albums are earlier albums of the Scorpions. These songs are incredible. You'll just hear, go look it up and listen to it. There's some incredible stuff. You'll fall in love with some of these songs. And they had a guitar player, Uli John Roth. He was called Ulrich Roth back then. Arguably, this guy came up with the neoclassical scales on guitar long before Yngwie Malmsteen. I think Yngwie does not want to say it, but Ulrich Roth kind of inspired him to play the way he does. Just listen to Tokyo Tapes, and you'll see what I mean. Or listen to the album In Trance, another great one. He is the forerunner of the neoclassical scales, and Scorpions always had phenomenal guitar players. Michael Schenker was the first, Rudolph's brother, of course. Rudolph was the older brother, and then Uli John Roth, if you want to call him that now, because that's his name now. Um, and then Uli John Roth, I believe, well, he left, and then they got a little gray area. Mattia on Love Drive album. Love Drive. There's another one. Love Drive was before Animal Magnetism. Another great album. Um, basically, Matthias Jabs joined, but then Michael Schenker came back for part of Love Drive and did part of the Love Drive tour. And I think Michael Schenker's on a good chunk of the Love Drive album recorded wise, and also as Matthias. And then, as if you know Michael Schenker, he left again and basically did his solo project after that. And then Matthias has been the lead guitarist ever since. And phenomenal guitar player that he is too. I believe Michael Schenker, and don't quote me on this one, I believe Michael Schenker found Matthias for the Scorpions. I think that's what happened. I read that somewhere. But anyways, yeah, so there was a huge catalog before the well-known Scorpion stuff, like Rock You Like a Hurricane and The Zoo and Love Drive. Love Drive is an amazing album as well. They always had controversial album covers. I'm not sure if this was a German thing, but they had all these, the sexual innuendo on their album covers, and a lot of their album covers were either covered up or changed. Like they actually had an album called Virgin Killer, and you can imagine if you have a warped mind what that album cover would look like. That album cover didn't even make it. You might be able to see it, look it up on Google if you dare. That one and a lot of those album covers were just risque, let's just say, and they don't care. I mean, their lyrics were like that, and that's the way the 80s was. And love the Scorpions. Scorpions are just an amazing band because they're heavy but so melodic. They're just you hear and Rudolf Schenker, riff master. Some of those riffs are just incredible. Always played a flying V. I don't think I've really ever seen him play anything else unless he was jamming with someone. Isn't that kind of synonymous with all of the flying V players? They just play the V, like this is their thing. This is their shape. Michael Schenker, Rudolf Schenker, Lonnie Mack from the way back, Albert King. There's guys that are just Schenker fans that play V's sometimes. James Hetfield, Kirk Hammett. Kirk Hammett's first really good guitar was a V because of Michael Schenker. So anyhow, but hopefully with this lovely Gibson headstock sometimes they stay in tune. Anyhow, that's a lot of rambling about the Scorpions. The Scorpions are an incredible band. Love them. My band Bridge on Fire still covers a lot of Scorpions. I think we do. I can't remember. Our set list is huge. We've been together for a while. But cheers to Rudolf Schenker keeping this faith alive, keeping it all alive, and still out there touring. Are the old bands the best ones touring? Or is that because I'm old and I just like those bands? I don't know. Changing gears, you may wonder why the lifelong Leaf fan who bleeds blue and white is wearing the Montreal Canadiens jersey this morning. If you know me, or if you're a Canadian friend of mine, I need not explain why this is. Rest in peace, Ken Dryden. I don't talk much about sports on here. It's a guitar show. My whole Facebook and Instagram is about me and my guitars and what I do. But we'll talk about hockey occasionally, which is the best sport, by the way. I used to tell people, if it's not played with pucks and sticks, I don't want to know about it. And I let baseball in, and football. I've watched 4 games, maybe. I've been to an NFL game. That's all I can say about football. Still a league, right? NFL, yeah, okay. But Ken Dryden. Much more than one of the most incredible goalies that ever stood between the pipes. Just an incredible story about how he was in law school at McGill, played hockey, won 2 Stanley Cups and a Conn Smythe Trophy. Won the Conn Smythe Trophy before he won Rookie of the Year, which is unheard of. quit hockey, went back, finished his law degree, came back, and won, I think, 4 more Stanley Cups, maybe. Something like that. I don't know. It's on the news right now. I should have. That's something I'm sorry. I should know that off the top of my head because I watched about 10 news stories on Ken Dryden and read a whole pile of stuff. But Ken Dryden also a great politician, great lawyer, had a law office all over on Islington. I remember we used to drive by. Hey, there's Ken Dryden's law office, and they're yeah, president of the Leafs for a short period of time. Was an MP. Probably should have been prime minister. Probably didn't. Wasn't tough enough. Well, I didn't say tough enough, but outspoken enough to be prime minister. But I think if he ran, he probably would have made it. Sadly, he passed away at 78 to cancer. Read the book The Game if you like hockey. Read the book The Game. You probably have if you're in my age group or whatever. But the greatest thing I read about in the book The Game is when his mother went to watch him play. Anytime, and of course Ken was the goalie. When the opposing team was crossing the red line into his zone, she couldn't watch after that. She just closed her eyes and went like this. And that's a goalie's mom. I mean, I was a goalie, and my mom was kind of like that too. So, to all the goalie moms out there, cheers. Ken Dryden was one of the best. His brother Dave played in the league for the Buffalo Sabres and then had a big career with the WHA. He passed away a few years back, so both great goalies, but Ken was the greatest. The Summit Series, arguably the best hockey game ever played was Central Red Army and the Montreal Canadiens on New Year's Eve. Probably I'm gonna say 19. I don't can't remember the year. Maybe 1978, 79. This is before the Russian players were in the league, and then the Russian league came over, and that finished on New Year's Eve, a 3-3 tie. I remember it well because my parents were having a New Year's Eve party at our house in Toronto, and no one showed up until later, very later, and then you could tell everybody was watching the game. It was a great game. Harlamoff and all those guys. Anyhow, it's a long. I'm seeing how long I've been talking for. Yes, 17 minutes. Okay, guys, keep the faith in Midland, Ontario. This coming Saturday, I will be a tired boy and probably pre-recording this show next weekend because I will be basically driving home from Midland. We're not staying. Driving home from Midland, getting some sleep, getting up, and I've got a 4 p.m. show with Bridge on Fire at Pierside in Port Stanley, which is roughly a 90-minute drive from my house, Port Stanley, Ontario. God love you guys in Port Stanley at Pierside and Brent and everybody down there. I'll be tired, but help me load my gear. I'm going to be bringing a smaller amp, I think. I don't like carry anything heavy. See you guys. Enjoy. Happy school. I saw most of my students last week, but we're going to see our Monday and Tuesday students on Monday and Tuesday this coming week, tomorrow and Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing you. Looking forward to getting to your new goals on guitar. And happy September, guys. It's still summer, right? Right? See you later.